All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's training. We have a couple of people that are not in Industry Leader Lounge. This is normally a client training that I do every quarter. So today we have also invited some people externally to join us. So welcome to those of you that are joining us for the first time. I hope you are seeing my screen all right and everything. So I wanted to immediately kick this off with a very warm welcome to the expansion era. So for those of you that don't know, I assume that most of you at least know a little bit about who I am, since I mostly invited people from my Instagram or my email. So you probably already follow me, already know a little bit about me. But inside Industry Leader Lounge, we grow industry leadership and scale our businesses, and we do that by going through new quarterly eras. And today we are walking into a new era, or this month, as we are entering Q2, we are entering a new era, which is the expansion era. And what does expansion mean? Well, it means growth from depth, from width, from expansion of the self, of your role as the CEO. It's expanding your business, scaling your business. Like, there's many aspects of expansion, but it really comes from a place of, if you want bigger results, you need to expand who you are, like your role as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, as a CEO. That's really what it comes from. And it also comes from a place of, you're already at a good level in your business, like you're not struggling anymore. But then you get to a point when you're like, well, why would I grow? Like, why do I want to scale, right? And what I notice with myself and also with my clients just in general is that expanding means it really means that you have gotten to a level where you're no longer struggling. Like, you're not trying to escape from something, right? You want more, you want abundance, you want expansion, you want to scale for the purpose of expansion, not because you are struggling, right? That's really what it comes from. So inside Industry Leader Lounge, which is my mentorship program and high-level network for six-figures entrepreneurs and beyond, we go through 4 different eras. And some of you inside Industry Leader Lounge already know this. Some of you might not be fully aware of what eras we have coming up. And we recently went through higher standards, and we're going to go through that era every single year in Q1, because we always have to increase our standards. We're now entering the expansion era, and we're looking at scaling. We're looking at expansion of the self, expansion of your brand, opportunity for growth in your business. Q3, we will go into leadership, and I have so many exciting plans for that as well. And then reality creation, which is all about literally creating your own reality and understanding that if you want results that most people don't have, you need to live in your own reality and create your own reality, and with a different set of rules than most people. So these are the eras we go through inside Industry Leader Lounge, and basically everything we do during this period, during this era, will be correlated to expansion, such as every single business roundtable discussion we have has something to do with, like, becoming your future self, expanding your business, scaling your business, seeing opportunity for growth. And we even have a guest training coming in May talking about expanding your wealth through investing. So we are really looking at expansion as a theme during this quarter. And we also are meeting in Italy next weekend. My clients from Industry Leader Lounge are coming to join me in Italy for a 2-day workshop. And this is kind of, those of you that are clients, like this is kind of going to get your mind working a little bit. And this is like part one of our workshop, I would say. And then when we meet next weekend in Italy, we're going to dive even deeper into this. And you're going to get the chance to really think about your own business. This is kind of the part one of it all. And those of you that are not in Industry Leader Lounge, this is kind of a taste for you to see what it's like to be inside ILL and the kind of things we talk about in this space. So the topic of today's training is scaling from expansion, not effort. Okay? And before we go into talking about this topic, I want to say that there is a difference between growing and scaling, right? Like you always want to grow. You want to grow from day zero, right? You're always growing. And if you're in the beginning of your business, you're growing, like you're trying to get clients, you're trying to make sales, right? You're not so concerned maybe with scaling and expanding the business, like you're growing the business. But even if you are in a phase of growth, you're going to see a lot of value in this training today, because you're going to see how there are some things you haven't even thought about in order to grow your business. But growth is really about selling to more clients, putting in more hours, putting in more effort. And it's like growth is also a mindset. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs are in this, like always think about growth and not enough about scaling. And you could also argue the opposite, that people think they need to scale when they actually need to grow. But I would argue that people, like when you only have a growth mindset and not a scale mindset, you are missing out on opportunities for faster growth. Okay? So if you currently, for example, have like a 3K offer, you have a personal brand, you run your business every single day trying to make sales, doing the same things, right? What your mindset is on is like, how can I get more clients in this 3K offer? How can I create more content faster so I can get more clients in, so I can do more marketing? How can I convert more of my sales meetings? Like you're thinking more about like selling and growing the business by adding more into the business, right? Scaling is about creating more leverage in your business and increasing value of yourself, of your offers and your business and everything you do for clients. And it's also about creating more time. And I think that's what most people don't get, because when you get to a certain level in business where you're kind of working a lot and you have gotten to a good level where you're at a good revenue level, you have your clients, you work a lot, you're kind of turned off very often by the idea of scaling, because you usually think it means growth. You think like, well, I don't have more hours, I don't have more energy, I don't want to put in more effort, I also don't want more clients, so therefore I don't know if I should just settle at this level, but at the same time I want to make more money. So you have these parts of yourself fighting against each other, like the part of you that wants to make more money, the part of you that wants to scale, that wants to grow, right? But you also don't want to add more things to your plate. Like you don't want to put in more hours or work with more clients and add more complexity to your business. So that's why I think like a lot of entrepreneurs, like this is a big like misunderstanding what scaling really is, because you think it's more work. But when I talk to most entrepreneurs that come to me, like they could have a third of my revenue or half of my revenue, but they are working like 3, 4, 5 times more than I am doing, especially on client work. And they are not in their zone of genius most of the time, right? Or they could be at like even higher revenue, but they are like working a lot and pushing a lot in order to maintain that level. So scaling isn't only about growing the revenue. That's what I want to emphasize. It's not only about growing the revenue, it's creating more leverage, more time, and adding more simplicity to your business. Like you can be at the same revenue as someone else and have way more complexity, way more on your plate as a business owner, or you could like actually feel like you have a lot of time and you have more freedom and you're making more money or equal amount of money as someone else who's working more. So I think when you have a scaling mindset, it's not about like thinking about scaling, like how can I reduce working if you're kind of in a growth phase. It's more about like, how can I create that more leverage in my business? How can I actually create more time so that I can put more time on actually growing the business and actually growing the revenue? And we will talk more about that today. So what does the lie about effort come in? Because I think I want to emphasize, even though this training is called scaling from expansion, not effort, like you're all smart people here. You know that it's not about not putting in effort. It's about not needing to put in more effort than you are right now, right? And that's like, what is effort? It's a feeling, right? It's like a feeling of pushing. So I want to emphasize, like, I'm not like the kind of person who's like, there's no effort, you don't need to do anything. Like, that's just not accurate. Like, that's not what we're talking about here. But it's about people think it takes more to grow and scale than it really needs to. So where does this effort lie come from? Well, what you have to remember, like a lot of entrepreneurs become entrepreneurs for like a reason. And maybe you can look back on in your life, like why that was, right? And maybe there was a way of like escapism, like escaping, I don't know, you grew up and maybe you grew up in poverty, or maybe you wanted to break free from something. Not everybody, but like having talked to so many entrepreneurs, I would say the majority of people somehow like do it as from a place of survival consciousness. Like it's kind of from a place of, I want to prove something, I want to perform, I want to be good, right? Or I have a fear of slowing down. What happens if I slow down? What happens if I'm unproductive? I'm not adding value or creating value. And there's a fear of losing momentum, fear of failing. Like a lot of entrepreneurs build from this survival consciousness, especially in the beginning. So what I notice is a lot of people, like it's kind of almost like it happens after you reach 100K. You're like, oh, wait, this is not going to work anymore. When you need to scale, when you scale, you actually have to like let go of that identity who wants to be productive all the time and wants to work and prove something, because you're going to have to shift your role into something completely different than being the productive, good girl, good guy, whatever. You're going to have to shift your role into like actually leaning back. Like you have to embrace leaning back energy and not leaning forward energy. And for someone who considers themselves a high performer and someone who has always been like productive, juggling 100 different things at the same time, is a total doer, action taker, that can be like extremely scary and, you know, weird, kind of. It's like, what? Like, I need to stop doing everything I was doing so far and do something differently? How can I trust that when everything I've been doing so far has actually brought me to where I am? So that's why a lot of people do get stuck around here, like first 6 figures, whatever, because like that's how you get there usually. Like you actually get far from this survival consciousness and like pushing yourself forward. You get somewhere. Not everybody has that ability. That's a strength as well. Like being able to move forward, take action, be in control, like that's also a good quality. Like let's not push down that quality. It's also a good quality. But those are not qualities that are enough to carry you forward when you're scaling. So where does this come from? I think we look at in media and in society, we also look to very successful entrepreneurs. And I put in like an image here of Alex Hormozi when he was being coached by Tony Robbins. It's an interesting interview because Alex Hormozi, if you don't know, he's very big on social media. He's an entrepreneur, very successful entrepreneur. A lot of entrepreneurs look up to him, right? He's very smart, like very successful. But he admits in this interview, and I wouldn't bring this, like, of course, I already had this opinion by myself, but I wouldn't actually bring this up if he hadn't actually talked about it himself in this interview, which is, he says like his motto is fuck happiness, right? He's like, I don't know what to do if I'm not working with this. Like, I am doing this from duty. I don't care. I've never been happy. Like, he's literally admitting that he is running from something. He's literally admitting that he is trying to escape feeling worthless. He says something like that. You have to listen to the interview, but he says something like that, like wanting to avoid feeling like useless, worthless. So he's super successful, right? But this is the kind of people we often see in the media, right? And people that are successful, because they did get there through pain, right? It's because being in this mindset can bring you results, yes. But when it comes to scaling, building from this identity can feel very heavy, and therefore we are more likely to either suffer through growth or self-sabotage growth entirely. Because you either believe I have to suffer and like feel like Alex Hormozi feels, basically, if I want to scale. Or if I realize that I don't want that, I'm going to actually self-sabotage my growth, because I do believe that more clients equals I struggle, or more of this equals pain, So that's when you start to feel, you know what, maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm good. And even if you don't consciously say that, what's very common is you start to engage in behaviors that make that true. Like you start avoiding social media, you start avoiding sales, you start avoiding forgetting to reply to leads. Like you start to subconsciously do that, or like lowering your prices, saying yes to online clients. Like these are all subconscious behaviors we are engaging with, but it's a way to basically sabotage your own growth, because deep down you don't really want it, because you have a deep fear of what growth means to you, like what that will mean and what kind of things you will have to sacrifice or who you have to become. So why would we want to scale and grow if it's true that you have to say fuck happiness, right? Or you have to live with the fear of feeling worthless unless you're working. Like, why would you want that unless you're Alex Hormozi, right? But it's not like the most attractive way towards scaling, right? But this is what a lot of people, like, that's how they grow. Like, I mean, speak to entrepreneurs, like a lot of entrepreneurs, like they are here, like successful ones, very successful ones, like they are stressed, they feel like they don't like their business, they don't, but probably because they never got out of the survival consciousness. And I'm not going to go too deep into talking about consciousness today, but something we also talk about some inside Industry Leader Lounge, but it's kind of like a primal part of you that wants to have pleasure and avoid pain. It's like not your higher self really, but it's a part of us that comes out in all of us, even if we think we're not connected to it most of the time, and we feel like we can be more in our intellectual or intuitive consciousness, being in our, like, we all have that primal part of us that really wants to rescue us from pain, save us from pain, right? So that's why we avoid, that's why we sabotage ourselves. And I think my personal opinion here is, do you even need a role model? Like, do you even need to be inspired by anyone? And I kind of came to this conclusion personally, that I can take small things from different people. Like, I like that person's ability to build a team, or that person is really good at marketing, whatever. But like, in the end, I want to build something and create something that maybe I haven't seen anyone else do. And maybe I haven't seen anyone else do it in the way that I want to do it. And like, I'd rather think about my future self and compare myself to that person than someone on social media who's driven by worthlessness, right? So I think we have to, if we want to scale, we have to like feel like you can truly do it in the way that you want to do it. Like, you can do it in a way that maybe hasn't been seen before, and maybe there is no framework for how to do that. Maybe there is no answer. Maybe no one else has done it, and you're going to do it first, right? And to me, that sounds way more exciting. And that's kind of where like the era of reality creation comes in, which we talk about a lot in Industry Leader Lounge as well, where you can choose to live in a reality where something is possible, and you can choose to live in a reality where something is not possible. And both are true depending on what you choose to believe, right? So you are putting your own limits in your reality. So if you want to believe there's no way to scale beyond this level in my niche, because unless I create an agency model or something, that's going to be accurate, because you're never going to make any kind of decisions or shifts in your business that makes it possible. Like, you're always going to be very firm in this belief. You're always going to like, okay, let's not even look at that because this is the truth. And that's where I see actually like intellectual people, like the smarter people are, the more limiting I see their mindsets being without them being aware. Because they have always trusted their minds so much that they believe that they are so smart and they know more than they know. And the truth that they say is the truth. It's almost like the smarter you are, the more you should like be humble for your own mind, to understand that like your mind is still limited. Like, you might be smart and intellectual and consider yourself an intellectual person, but you have a limited mind. And when you know that, you can trust that maybe there is something that can be true that my mind can't even comprehend right now. Like, maybe there is something where I don't need to listen to my brain or my mind, even though you've always relied on it in the past. Maybe there's something that you can't even comprehend. And I truly believe that's the only way to expand your mind. I think it's like dangerous if we trust our own minds too much. And I used to be that kind of person, right? I used to see myself as like logical, strategic, like I think my mind is like the best thing about me, and you value it so much that you can't even see its limits. So I think about scaling is kind of like making coffee. So there are many different ways to make coffee. The result is kind of the same, like you will have a black hot drink in a cup at the end of it, but it will taste different depending on how you make it, right? It will taste a little bit different if you're making espresso or you're using a French press, right? Like everything it will taste a little bit different, but there are still different paths towards the same kind of result. Like it might look the same, but does it taste the same? That is the question. So you kind of have to ask yourself, like, how do I want it to taste? Instead of like thinking scaling means I have to do this and that, or scaling means complexity, or scaling means that I need to become a person who, like, you have all these beliefs of what you will need in order to scale. So ask yourself, how do I want scaling to taste? Like how do I want to feel? How do I want to live? How do I want, like, what do I want to do in my business? Instead of like, it means this. Like I'll often hear people say, if I want to grow, I need to hire people. And I don't know if I'm ready to hire people. And there's like so many different pathways you could take in that statement. The one thing could be like exploring why you don't want to hire and the fears behind that. The other part of it is like, do you even actually need to hire people? Why do you believe that to be true? Is that even true? Or if I want to scale, I need to sell to more clients. Is that true? Like there's so many things you have to question. And I think for me, like the absolute biggest key to expansion is to question everything I believe most of the time, which sounds crazy, but that's kind of like being in a growth mindset is like, oh, that's interesting. I believe that I need to, be very disciplined if I'm going to scale. Like I need to wake up early. I need to work all the time. Like I need to become that kind of person. But the thing is that true? Does that need to be true? Is that true for every person? Like I think it's important to question yourself. Like, why do I have these beliefs? Where do they come from? Is it because I am following people online whose lives I'm actually not at all drawn to? Or is it because they built their business that way, but maybe that's not how I want to do it? Okay. Anyone have anything to say or any questions? Feel free to write in the chat while we talk. I'm always like confused how the chat box will pop up, but I'm sure it will somehow if you write something. So feel free to just any reflections you have or any questions while I'm talking, like feel free to write for sure. Oh yeah, now I found it. Perfect. So scaling really requires, if we're talking about scaling from the easiest point, like where I really think it's important to start if you want to scale, is it requires expansion of the self, you as the CEO in your business. It requires expansion of value, which means your offers, what the value you offer to people, right? And it requires expansion of your positioning, so your industry leadership. So if we're starting with expansion of the self, scaling starts with changing how you operate inside your business, because you are the CEO. You are running your own business, right? And I think people always think, oh, I need to sell more. I need to do this. Well, it's like that Taylor Swift song, like, it's me, I'm the problem, it's me, right? Like you should listen to that song, Anti-Hero, because she sings like how she's the problem and you are the problem, right? Like you are the one who's generating revenue. You are the one running the business. So you need to change how you operate inside of your business. And here's where your own habits, patterns, behaviors, decision-making, focus, tasks, like everything you are doing on a daily basis is impacting the growth of your business, right? And we had someone come in, a guest trainer once in the Industry Leader Lounge, who was like, ask yourself, if you were the owner of the business and like you were the CEO, another person was the CEO and that was you, like, would you fire the CEO or would you keep the CEO? Like, do you think the CEO is actually doing a good job with the business? And when we had this discussion, it was a very good question. Like, most people were saying that, no, I would totally fire myself, right? Like, if I was the owner, like, I'm not good enough as the CEO, right? So I love that question because it allows you, because you are the owner and the CEO, as far as I know, most of you, maybe there's other situations, but ask yourself, like, would I fire myself if I was the owner? Probably, like most of us would. So that really says a lot about what is required of you as the CEO. And here, what we want to look at in our business is there's different types of tasks you are currently focusing on in your business that we need to divide, and this will help you see where your focus should really lie. Okay? So there's the genius of your business, and those are tasks that really only you can do at the highest level, and it creates results for your business. What this is exactly might vary between different people. So this is really like where your zone of genius is, and it also creates results. Like, I hope your zone of genius isn't like doing accounting for your business unless you're an accountant, right? Like if that's your zone of genius, that's like, that shouldn't be part of the thing, right? But you need to think about, like, what are things that I am the one that can do it at the highest possible level, and it creates results for my business. For many, that means something like vision, having the vision for the business, the goals, the offer delivery. For some, it's not offer delivery. For some, it might actually be that delivering your offer is not your zone of genius, but for many it is. The messaging, the marketing, the sales, right? Those could be connected to your zone of genius. We're like, this is what I'm really good at, and this is really creating results in one way or another for my business. Like, this is where I want to be. This is where I'm absolutely brilliant. And it's really hard to find someone else to do it for you. Not impossible, but hard, because you are really, really good at this and you really, really love it. And then there are tasks that drives revenue directly or indirectly. And that could be sales calls, content, marketing execution, part offer delivery, client success. Like, it might not be your zone of genius, but it drives growth. It actually leads to higher revenue, whether indirectly or directly. Like, creating content immediately might not lead to revenue sometimes, but it does indirectly. So those are things where you're like, okay, it's not in my zone of genius, but it is driving growth. And then there are maintenance tasks that are actually low value tasks in your business. And those things could be admin, tech setup, scheduling, customer support, just as an example. So these are all different things for all of you, right? And what we really should be doing is spending our time here, genius and growth. And what we really want to aim towards is being fully in our genius, right? And the important thing here is, like, there are some things that might not be as impactful, but you really love doing it. And that doesn't mean that doesn't always mean that you should be doing it, but it also doesn't mean you shouldn't be doing it. So this is about, like, how much impact is it making on the revenue? If there are things that you really enjoy doing, but it's not really making a lot of impact on the revenue, you need to ask yourself, like, is this something I should be spending my time doing? Or is this something that I could outsource or delegate? And the low value task is the first thing you want to outsource. Like a lot of you probably have accounting. Some of you might have a virtual assistant to help you with admin or something like that, right? And when it comes to growth, you might have mentors, you might have I know some of you have a salesperson. Some of you might have a client success person that makes sure that clients get results and therefore they are more likely to renew and be happy people and give you good testimonials. So that's indirectly leading to growth. But your focus should be on genius and growth. And you should aim, and maintenance is like not at all something you should be in. Like in the beginning, yes, for sure. Like we don't have any money to reinvest, but like you should not be spending your time on maintenance, low value tasks. And that basically means like tasks that have kind of low value, but is needed in order to maintain and run the business. And like you should not pay a lot to outsource those things. Like those are not high value. Like things that drives revenue directly or indirectly is more valuable to pay more if you want to outsource or if you want that support, right? If not, you could do it yourself. So this is an example of like different types of tasks in your business. And what you could do after today is to sketch up like, what is my genius? When do I feel like time disappears? This is the easiest thing in the world for me. I'm obsessed with this. This actually creates results. And this is what I want to spend my time doing in my business. Like I know some entrepreneurs where like their zone of genius is not working with clients at all. Like their zone of genius is running and scaling the business. With other entrepreneurs, it's like, no, literally my zone of genius is being with clients, coaching them, consulting, doing the work. That's great. But like, you're not going to scale if you expect to do that and marketing and sales and this and that and that. Like in the beginning, yes, but then you have to look at like, perfect. If delivering the offer and working with clients is in my zone of genius, what are other tasks that is related to growth that I could get help with? So we have to also prioritize like what is making the most impact. Something that is correlated to your genius and growth is 100% valuable for you to do. That's like your top priority. If it's correlated to your genius, but it's not related to any type of growth, then you need to ask yourself like, okay, is this still something that I should be doing? Maybe you are. Like maybe you just love editing your podcast because it's like, it makes your whole day to edit your podcast. Maybe it does, but most of the time it's like, it's enjoyable. I kind of like it. But do you like it that much? Or could that someone else do it? So that's where you have to make a decision of like, you know, is this actually something that should be on my table or not? Like personally, for example, I really love writing my emails. Like I really love going to a cafe and like just being like focused on myself and writing my emails. But what I don't do is translate them and schedule them, for example. That's what I don't do. So that's like, I am able to be in my genius, but I don't have to like do every single part of being in my genius. Like being in my genius for me is writing my emails in a Word document. It's not scheduling them and it's not translating them. Right? And for me, like delivering to my clients is being in my zone of genius, but there's another part of delivery that I can actually outsource, which I have my operations manager and sees the client contact, like customer support. So when there's customer support questions, my clients go to her. When there's actually like business mentoring things, my clients come to me. So that's an example of like trying to remove as many parts that isn't as much as core genius as I possibly can. Like the core of your genius, right? And it's important to remember, like, as the CEO should not be involved in everything. The goal is to protect your zone of genius and multiply its impact on your results. Like, I know, for example, we have Emily here today. which former client of mine, and you're, for example, Emily, I'm just going to use an example, a super creative designer, like 100% Emily's zone of genius, knowing her, is like being creative, like taking in things from outside, being creative, thinking about your work, doing your work. Like that's probably 100% part of your zone of genius. So it's like, how do I protect that? That's super valuable. That's why people hire you. Like, how do I protect that part of myself? Like, then we could look at private life stuff as well. You know, how do I protect that from other things in my private life? But like in your business, like how do I protect that and multiply it? So I can actually, and we'll get to that, increase the value of my offers even more because I'm protecting my zone of genius. Another example of not being protective of your zone of genius is like, you know, if I'm doing this call today with you, if I was like, after we are ending this, saying goodbye, and then I also have to upload the recording and send it out, like that's not zone of genius stuff. Like that's something that I should not be doing because that will take me out of my inspirational vibe. Like I would much rather use this energy that I have with you guys today to put into a piece of content, right? Or think about sales opportunities or improve my offer or help my clients. Like that's where I would like to put my energy. That's where my zone of genius is. If I'm spending time uploading a recording, even if it's a few minutes, like it's energy that is drained from me that could go into like helping my clients sell more or something. Like it's like, that's like, you need to protect your zone of genius. It's like, it's your gift in the world. It's like, that's what makes you unique. That's what makes you different from everybody else. That's what makes you so strong in your positioning. So when you start thinking about these things, like what you should be focusing on, for some of you, it might be like thinking about this and seeing, oh, I'm not currently outsourcing anything. I need to start outsourcing. Like, what are the low value tasks? For some of you are currently outsourcing some things, but then you can think about, well, am I putting the right things on my assistant? Or it could be, am I actually focusing on the right things in my business? Like, do I feel like I'm working from my zone of genius, or do I feel like I'm just doing tasks? And how can I put myself in my zone of genius more often? How can I think of like planning my entire week and all of the marketing and sales activities based on me being in my zone of genius? So that's what I really want you to think about, is like, how can I put myself here more often? And also, of course, the growth aspect. And if there are things of the growth aspect where you feel like this is something you really suck at, or this should not take up your time because you want to be more in your zone of genius, you can think about like, is this something someone can help me do? And we can't always be in our zone of genius all of the time, and definitely not parts of our journey. Like some of you might feel like, you know what? Yeah, I don't have the money right now to invest into more outsourcing. Like I can't do that. There are still things you have to do. That's great. But what I'm saying here is what your goal should be. Like people who have sales teams, like I'm thinking of my client, especially Caroline right now, who's here, has a sales team. People who have sales teams did hundreds of sales calls and did the work to get as many sales calls as possible in order to then be able to train people to become good salespeople and then do less or zero sales calls, right? So this is about having the long-term mindset in place also. Like, yes, maybe now you're doing sales calls, you're doing content, you're doing all of this. But how can you do more of the growth tasks in order to get to the point where you can get help with those tasks or part of those tasks? Right? So this is something to think about. What is your genius? What are the growth tasks? What are the maintenance tasks? Any questions about this? No, just listening. Cool. Expansion of your offer. Yes, Emily.
And do you want to take it like this or write it?
No, feel free to say it.
Yeah. About delegating, I often get the comment, oh, doesn't it require a lot of time from you to delegate to another person? What are your thoughts about that?
So you mean like you have to tell them how to do, what to do, like stuff like that? Well, the first thing is the first time maybe, but what you need to be doing is make sure that those repeat the tasks that are recurring, that you are creating a system or a process for that person to follow in order to more easily. For example, like I've had a couple of different assistants, and onboarding has been way easier for them because I had my first assistant create all of these systems and processes to follow. So it's like I don't have to explain every single time to a new person how to do something because it's recorded. Like there are Loom recordings, there's Excel documents, there's like details. Maybe the first time, yes, you have to train them. 100%. You have to train them, you have to teach them how to do it. Absolutely. But then you shouldn't have to do it again and again. Like they should be recording it. And that's something I also did just with my team in general, because like even if you have the same person doing something, they forget also. Like they forget some things. So that's why I wanted to make sure that my team, especially my assistant who is more like in the nitty-gritty stuff, has a process to follow herself. Like she's opening the Excel document, looking, okay, what is step one when Joella has done a webinar? It's this. What is step two? Okay, perfect. What is step three? Writing we have so much detail because I don't want any questions, basically. Like, and also like telling the person, like, can figure it out on your own before you ask me, really. Like it's also about that. But yes, the first time you'll have to do it, but then you could ask that person while they're doing it to record everything. Like when I say record, I don't necessarily mean a video, but like writing everything down. So the next time you have everything there and you can just give it to someone and they do it. So that's something I really recommend when you want to outsource. But yes, the first time it takes time to train someone, but in the long run, it might actually save you a lot of time. Good question. Super good question. Love this. So feel free to ask more questions. Awesome. So expansion of your offer. So when we talk about scaling, it's harder to scale by selling more, to be honest. Like selling more and scaling your sales, it's not like impossible. Of course, you should always sell more, but it can also mean that if you're selling more from what you're doing currently in your business, that could currently be adding more work and complexity. Like maybe you see yourself reaching a ceiling very soon. Like if I get 3 more clients, I'm full, like I can't do more. Or you might have to do a lot more in order to sell more, in order to reach more leads, get more clients. Something that's way easier is making sure that you increase value of your offers and sell at higher price points, which means you can increase your revenue despite not adding more to your plate. So what does that really mean? Well, something that I would like to encourage you is to ask yourself, if I had to charge people 2 times my current price, whatever your prices are, like think of an offer you are currently selling. It could be a consulting offer, service offer, coaching, I don't know, whatever it could be, not hourly. So if I had to charge 2 times my current price, what would I change about my offer or its positioning? Because maybe there's nothing you would change about the contents and delivery of your offer, but maybe you would change how it's sold, or to who, to which target audience, to how would you position it differently? How would you increase the value? Or maybe there's something where you will be like, oh, I would do this, I would change this. Like maybe you would change your offer. If you had to double your current price, like what would you do? Because in your answer to that question, there's opportunity. There's opportunity to increase the value of everything you are currently doing for clients. Okay? Maybe you would change nothing, and maybe all you need to do is double your price and you will literally sell more. And you will literally make more money because you have just restrained yourself from increasing your price because you think it's not possible. But if we're like looking at it from a place of increasing the value, what would you change, or how would you change its positioning? Maybe you would even sell to a different audience than you are currently doing. But again, if you had to, like, ask yourself, if I had to double my price, then what would I do? How would I make that offer work? Another thing is, if I had to make myself 10 times more valuable to my clients, what would I spend time doing? And this is a question that I personally love, because if you are someone who, which most of you are, like part of the delivery, right? You are part of the delivery. People buy you. They buy your credibility, your authority, your energy, your expertise. Like, they buy you. I don't just want like Anneli's coaching offer. I want her, right? Like, I want specifically her because there are many coaches out there. Or I don't just want design. I want Emily specifically because I just want her perspective, her eye, her like way of doing things. So it's like, if you had to make yourself, because this is something that I think is not talked about enough. Like, I don't know why. But the truth is, like, being able to charge more for your offers has a lot to do with increasing your value. And I think you know what I mean when I say this. Like, it's like, it could be, sure, it could be improving your skills. It could be your energy. It could be your focus, whatever it could be. But if you made yourself 10 times more valuable, what would you spend more of your time doing? Inside of your business, outside of your business? Like, if you really wanted to make yourself way more valuable, where people are like, oh my God, I want to work with that person because I just know that this is the person that I want to work with, like 100%. Like, would there be parts of your day that looks different? Your routine during the day? Like, would you do something different? Would you spend more of your time reading books? Like, would you spend more of your time meditating? Would you spend more of your time being in your zone of genius? Would you try to create even better results for your clients, put more effort into your clients? Like, what would you do? Because that is part, you are part of the delivery. You are part of the offer. It's not just an objective offer. Like, what would you do to make yourself more valuable? Like, an example of this is also, I recently invested into a high ticket offer. And like, part of why I invest in this offer is because I know the person who delivers it invests a lot into herself, like a lot. So I kind of like, I trust this person because I know she's in such growth mindset, and like, she's learning new things constantly, and I want to learn what she has learned also. So like, that's part of why, because she invests so much money into herself, and she's putting herself into multi-millionaire rooms, like multi. And like, I'm like, I want to be part of that. I see what you do. I know the standard you hold yourself to. I am the same, and I want to like align myself with you. So that's part of why I invested $30,000 or euros, because like, I know the standard she has. I invest in people with high standards for themselves, and people who live what they say and like actually are what they say they are. So that is a way to make yourself more valuable, as an example. Something else is like someone who spends their time like thinking and deeply thinking and reflecting on their expertise. Like you can really tell when someone has put in deep reflection into something and they just know, they have deep conviction. Or someone who has this stable grounding energy, whatever it could be. Like there are many things. It can be like intellectual, it can be energetic, it can be skills wise, right? Like if you had to make yourself 10 times more valuable, what would I spend my time doing? Another thing to think about is when you think about your offer or your offers, if you have several, if you could spend less time on the work for the clients, like delivering the offer, what would you remove entirely from the offer? You should not remove something that has high value, makes a big difference for the clients, and like they really appreciate. Like that's not what you should remove, probably. But is there something you are currently doing for clients that is actually maybe not as valuable as you think? You could even ask clients, like, what are the top 5 things you value the most? And then remove the things that they don't, right? Like, there are things you can do too much of that they don't really value as much. So, could you remove something from your current offers? Another thing is, what can you simplify so it takes you less time, but it's higher value for clients or still equally high value? I gave this example yesterday to my clients that in a program I used to have, I used to give personal feedback to everyone on copy. And it took a lot of time and energy, and it wasn't fully making me feel like I was in my zone of genius. So I changed from giving personal feedback in the document to having live feedback calls instead on Zoom. And what I noticed was this was more valuable to clients because they were able to see me give copy input to other people and they learned something. They thought it was super interesting. They were like, this is so valuable to see how this person would create her copy and how you would give feedback. And it took me way less time. It was so much easier. It was so much more fun and enjoyable for me. And I saved so much time, but clients actually appreciated it more. So that's an example of like, I simplified a part of my offer and saved myself a lot of time and headache. Another thing is, what is something you could actually elevate so the offer is worth more? So that means like, what is something you could add or improve so the offer actually is worth so much more, but it might take you less time or zero extra time, like not a lot of time or zero extra time. It's something that where you could actually, you see yourself adding this and it could even double the value of the offer, but it will take you, I don't know, 30 minutes. Like there are so many things you could do that is so valuable for clients, but it's really easy for you. This is something I do with clients a lot, where like we can increase the value and get so many more clients into their offers because they're like, oh, I didn't realize people would like this. Like it's so easy for me, but people love this. Like this is why they buy. And is there something you can delegate so someone else can deliver it to clients? Like this could mean that you are either adding something new to your offers that someone else is doing because you don't have to do that part, or it could be that there are current things that you have inside your offers that someone else could do. So in my offers, like I am the one that's delivering things, but as an example, what I've done is like I have a guest trainer come in quarterly. And that's adding more value to my clients because I'm so selective. I don't take in anyone. I'm like extremely like I want them to have like the kind of people that I want to sit and listen to, and I'm amazed that I have these people in the room. So that's adding value to them, but there's also one less training that I necessarily have to prepare. I'm live there, I'm asking questions, but it's like saving me time because I don't have to create a presentation or anything like that, right? But it's adding more value. Like I have had guest trainings where clients are still talking about that training because it just changed something for them. And another example is like the customer support stuff that my operations manager does, for example, like that's removing part of the delivery. Like if they have a problem or something, she's doing that. We are doing physical events. We did one in January. We're doing it next week in Italy. My operations manager is planning everything around that, right? Like there's a lot of different things that I can have someone else do. We also have a hypnotherapist in Industry Leader Lounge who does monthly hypnotherapy sessions for the clients. That's not something I even could do because I'm not a hypnotherapist, but she is. So I can add more value to my offers and get clients better results by adding her in once per month. Right? Like that's just examples of like, it's small things, but it makes still a big difference. So think again, ask yourself after today's call, and if you want to write anything down now, then write down remove, simplify, elevate, or delegate. Like write down those words. So after this call, you could think about it. Like what can I remove? What could I simplify? What could I actually elevate in my offer? And what could I delegate? We do way more than we really need to be doing all of the time. And then we have expansion of your position. So expansion of industry leadership. And before we go into that, does anyone have any questions about this topic actually? About your offer, like anything you get stuck on and we're like, I'm not sure about this, or could I do that, or something you struggle with when it comes to this topic? And also, if you're shy to speak, you can also write in the chat, of course. Okay, cool. So expansion of industry leadership, expansion of your positioning. This is about your brand. And I always think about like industry leadership, building industry leadership is different than building your brand because everybody could build a brand. Everybody has a brand. And building a brand is more like, I want to be known so I can get clients. Like I am top of mind in my niche, stuff like that. But industry leadership is about being truly on the forefront of people's minds, not just because you are posting currently or they've seen your name somewhere, but because they really put you as like the go-to person, as the premium service provider in this area. So the high-level clients who are looking for truly the best person to create results for them or give them the service that they want, they are going to you. And questions to ask yourself if you are currently leading your industry or following it. Like, are you placing yourself and being a thought leader and putting like your own perspectives and opinions first? Or are you looking at what other people are talking about, what other people are doing, and trying to imitate that? Are you standing out? Are you truly different in your brand, or are you just melting in and people are scrolling and you just seem like one of everyone else? Like, are you making an effort to stand out? Are you creating demand or looking for demand? Like, are you creating the needs in people? Are you teaching people what they should want? Not just looking for people that already know what they want. Because yes, good business is like filling a need in the market, giving people what they want, 100%, yes. But a big part of building industry leadership and a way to make it way easier to become truly an industry leader is telling people what they should want, because people don't always know what they should want. Even the things that I'm talking to you about today, I don't see other people talking about a lot of the things that I'm talking about. And that kind of like, that's what I love. Like, I love bringing things up from the surface, like the things that are hidden underneath. Like, I love bringing that up to the surface. And like, I know that a lot of those things people don't know. Like, they just don't know. Right? How are they going to walk around knowing what they want or what they should want unless I can also teach them what they should want and teach them how to think about this topic? So yes, look for demand, but like, are you creating demand for your services, and not just for your services, but for the things that you sell in general? Right? It's not like anyone knew that they wanted an Apple iPhone before Apple created the market, like, for it. It's not like anyone was like, I need a specifically designed, like very clean, minimalistic design phone in my pocket. Like, that's not something people were walking around thinking they needed. You know, at the time, like, it was very trendy with these super small phones or like the flip phones, right? We're very old for knowing this, right? But they created demand. They came in and were like, this is what you should want. This is what you need. This is what you want. Like, they created demand for products like theirs. And of course, then it's only Apple that has those kinds of products. And you should ask yourself, like, am I an obvious choice or just an option? Like, are people comparing prices and saying like, yeah, I'm talking to multiple different people and you are one of the people I'm talking to. I'm comparing the prices, I'm comparing the offers. Or do you feel like, no, like it's this person or no one? Like, this is the person that I know I want to work with, or I'm going to work with that person and that person. Like, it's not like comparing, right? And the easiest way to become an obvious choice is specifically everything I told you before. It's leading your industry and not following it. Because if you are in your own path, if you're walking your own path, positioning yourself differently from everyone else, talking about different things than other people, and you're creating demand, how is it possible to compare? Like, how is it possible for you to be just an option? Like, how is that possible? If you are literally carving a new path, if you are the only one on that path, or if you are walking first, like, there's just one person to pay attention to on that path, and that's you. But there are other paths where everyone's like melting in, everybody's walking the same path, everyone's saying the same things, everybody has the same opinions. Like, you're not even looking at that because it's just boring and it's expected. It's exactly what you expect. It's predictable, right? You don't feel anything from that. So the reason why people struggle with like building what I call industry leadership, which really comes from inside out, it's because they don't want to stand out. Like, why would you want to stand out? Like, we are taught from when we are young that it's bad to stand out. It's dangerous to stand out. It's not good to do things differently than other people, because then you lose attention and validation from other people. And you might not be accepted. You might not be liked. Right? And this is like, I think if it's something that's truly deep set. I was listening to a podcast episode with a psychologist recently who spoke about this, who said like this is so deep set in people that it's like it's creating anxiety. For some people, it's like creating anxiety, the idea of doing it. And then I was really thinking about like, I think it's good to be self-aware, and if that's like creating so much anxiety, to go to therapy, because like if you can overcome this, then you're like unstoppable. But most people never overcome it, right? And so that was one thing. But if it's not about anxiety, it's more about like you're playing safe. You're kind of taking the safe road, and you're being very like subconsciously influenced by other people and what they tell you to do or how other people are doing it. And you find yourself going into Instagram, like looking at your competitor's Instagram page and thinking like, what are they doing? Like, how can I place myself in comparison to that person? Then you need to start asking yourself like, no, you need to start telling yourself like, no, the reason why I'm going to attract clients is because of these qualities that I have, that I am proud of. And it's because I am in my power, and because people notice that I stand out naturally. Like I barely have to make an effort to stand out. I already do, because everybody, truly, like my experience is everybody already stands out and is completely unique and different. But for some reason in their brands, they like seem like the same person. And that's why you scroll on social media, especially LinkedIn, you're just like boring, 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 because people like, they're not boring, but they want to be boring because that's like safe. And you can't really trigger anyone. You can't really say anything scary. So the very nature of industry leadership is kind of going against your own industry. Like it's kind of going against what everyone else is saying or doing. It doesn't have to. It's like you're not doing it for the purpose of doing it, of course. But usually that's what it leads to when you are going against the status quo. A lot of my clients do this. Like you know, whether you're a PR consultant going against what everyone else are doing, which is like marketing people and PR people should not be at the forefront of their personal brands. Like that's the classic old-fashioned thing. Like you shouldn't be taking up space. Your clients should be taking up space. Like that's also like an old belief, right? That's what 99% of people are doing. But most people are actually scared to stand out. So if you are willing to stand out, if you're willing to lead your industry, go against the grain and create demand, you're already ahead of 99% of people. And I recently did like a training for a bunch of executives and leaders and entrepreneurs, where all of them who joined like were extremely successful in their respective industries and like truly had the potential for industry leadership. But the majority of them were not taking that kind of space because they thought that's for someone else. Like, that's not me. I'm not good enough. I'm not experienced enough. Like, I'm not there yet. My revenue is not there yet. Whatever it could be, like, they believe that they are not ready for it. So they are like putting themselves, like holding themselves back. And logically, that didn't make any sense at all. Like looking at the forms that I got with like what they are doing, their position, everything, like they're super, super advanced. But that's because industry leadership has nothing to do with how much experience you have or like all of that, because nobody really cares about that. There's tons of people with experience. There's tons of people who are good at what they do. But who is willing to say something different than everyone else is saying? Who's willing to do something different than everyone else? Who's willing to innovate and think about, instead of what are everyone else in my industry doing, and instead think, what is no one doing that I could be doing? And the truth is, in the end, with a strong like industry leader positioning, you can sell any offer at any price point because people will always buy. They buy your authority, your level of conviction in your offers and in yourself, not your actual offer. So when you have all of these powers, like the expansion of the self as the CEO, you have the expansion of the offer where it's higher value and easier for you to deliver, and you have the industry leader positioning. How are you not going to scale? You are the obvious choice. You have a strong offer. It's highly priced. It's extremely valuable. You are focusing on revenue generating tasks and zone of genius, right? But most people are just kind of continuing what they're doing every single day, just opening their laptop, working, or okay, I'm going to post LinkedIn content, okay, I'm going to post an Instagram webinar, whatever. Like, but they're not seeing all this opportunity that I just talked about today. And some of it is like quick results. Like this could be something you start doing today, and tomorrow you could have the highest paying client you ever had. And some of it could be more about the long-term game where you're like, okay, how do I increase my value? How do I establish my position in my industry? Like, how do I try something new and innovative that no one else has tried before? Like, those are things that lead to those long-term results. So these are examples where I didn't even mention like growing your team, you need to hire, or you need to add more offers or create more content, you need to do more sales calls. Like none of what I talked about today was like the classic thing of like volume increase. Like you just need more of this, more of that. Like, will that help you? Of course it will. That's just kind of the harder way, the more effortful way. When I talk expansion of the CEO role and the offer and the industry leadership positioning, that's the easier way where you will have more leverage in your business, where you're actually going to free up time, you're going to be able to charge more. So when you scale from this perspective, you can charge 2 times to 10 times more than you do today. This is very normal for my clients. Like almost all of my clients end up going from doubling to 10xing their prices. Like it's very, very normal in my world that we do this. Like it's very easy, like very easy for me to help them do that. And you also start attracting a higher level clientele. That's also something we focus on in Industry Leader Lounge and with my one-on-one clients. You can work with fewer clients, but still grow your revenue. Like you might find yourself having less on client delivery because you have such fewer clients to work with. You'll have happier clients with better results. How can you not if you are focusing on being in your zone of genius and increasing your own value for clients? Or you are hiring someone with client success, whatever it is, like you can have happier clients with better results. It's not about scaling from a place of where your business can't carry that and you're adding all these clients and you can't actually support them. You can focus your energy and time on actual revenue generating tasks. So you free up more time and you can work less, but the time that you spend working is actually focused on being in your zone of genius, which is making your business feel more joyful and easier. And it's also actually creating results. So like the easiest way to feel like you're not scaling from expansion, from effort, is when you are allowing yourself to be in your zone of genius as often as you can, because that's why it doesn't feel like work. That's why people say like it doesn't feel like work, because you are working from your zone of genius. Like that's barely work. That's expansion. That's not effort. That's expansiveness. Like zone of genius just means you're expanding, 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 expanding. It's not effort. It's not hard. Right? But the time that you work on other things, revenue generating, like it's giving you more income into your business. So what does more income in your business mean? Having even more leverage, even more money to outsource or to hire people, or to say no to clients that are unaligned, to increase your offers, like whatever the prices, whatever it is. So I would love for you to take away some things from today's call. And the first thing is, we talked about expansion of the self, of your role as the CEO. How can you put yourself in your zone of genius more often? How can you put yourself into revenue generating tasks more often, especially if they are in your zone of genius? And if they're not in your zone of genius, do you have the ability to delegate some parts of that? And the low value tasks, how can you make sure that they are removed from your table as much as possible, whether it's using AI or a virtual assistant or whatever it is, or putting more on your current assistant or your current team? And I'm telling you, like even the small things like scheduling emails, you don't have to do. Right? Like how, or if you currently feel like I'm not there yet, I can't do that. Perfect. How can you put your energy and focus into more revenue generating tasks so you can do that? Right? Like, oh, you don't have the money to do that? Just make money, honestly. Like, just make money. Like, that's the goal. Like, then you need to have the money, because what is the purpose of making the money? Right? Like, spend it, but also to reinvest it so you free up your time and you can be more and more in your zone of genius. Okay, and I want you to think about the offer expansion. I want you to think about, how can I increase the value of my offer? If I had to double the price, what would I do? If I had to 10x the value of myself, what would I focus on? How would I evolve? And if I had to, remove, delegate, elevate, or simplify, like what would I do in my offer? And in your industry leadership, like how are you showing up in your brand now? How can you start doing things completely differently? How can you put yourself in a leadership positioning in your industry? And when I say industry, I'm not talking about your industry peers that may not be your audience or your target audience. Like if you work as a graphic designer, I'm sure your other graphic designers, not your target audience. Doesn't really matter what they do, right? Like that's not what I'm talking about. It's about you being the person for the higher level clientele who are looking for someone who is doing things better and differently than everyone else. And that's scaling from expansion. And some of those things that we talked about today, you notice like you could probably start implementing soon. That's why scaling isn't just about getting to a point where you hit the glass ceiling and you can't grow beyond that glass ceiling. Because a lot of entrepreneurs are there, but some of them don't have to be there in order to grow exponentially soon. Right? Because in the end, a lot of this comes down to increasing value. Again, expansion. So instead of continuing doing the same things, being the same behaviors, the same patterns, the same everything, how can you expand? Okay? Now, I want to make space for any possible questions that may have popped up today. And for those of you that are joining and want to talk with me about possibly joining Industry Lead Lounge or work with me in any capacity, I'm leaving a Zoom link or a link to schedule a Zoom call with me in the chat. But I want to leave space for any possible questions about this, whether it's general questions, it could be related to your business currently, what you're doing in your business now, how you think about your own offers, or any insight you have, anything you want to share, whether you want to unmute yourself or you want to write in the chat. I'll leave some space for that. If not, that's totally fine as well. But I want to make sure that I catch those of you that would like to use this opportunity. Julia.
Yeah, thanks for a lot of things to think about after this session. But I was thinking about, you have one question that says, am I leading my industry or following it? And when we talk about industry, I think that's kind of interesting because how you define like the industry. Like I'm working with energy or a tech company, but I can also define my industry as like you said before, like the marketing consultants or what it could be. So if I have to differentiate myself, I have to know like who am I actually comparing against? And I think that's interesting to see like how do you think about defining the industry in which you should stand out?
I would say think more about your ideal client. Like, are they thinking of you as like, this is the one I want to work with? Like, this is the one to work with. Like, that's in the end leading the industry because you are a marketer. So you are in that industry, but the people that are paying attention to you, you don't really care about your peers. Like, you know, you don't really care about competitors that, or put like, I don't even call it competitors, but other people that do the same thing as you that you don't want to work with. Like that doesn't really matter, right? It's about you, how you are positioned in the eyes of your ideal client, right? Like it's not like Apple is leading their industry in, you know, phones, right? But their target audience isn't Samsung.
No, definitely.
Right. But when the person needs to buy, the buyer wants to buy, they are seeing Apple and they're seeing Samsung and everything. But for them, like an iPhone buyer, they're never going to look at anyone else. They're just going to go to Apple. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but also they compare against, an Android phone for some reason, because that's what you have two phones and then you have Apple is better at their phone because they have other qualities. So then it's actually one of the qualities that stand out that makes them different.
Exactly. It makes them different. But also, if you're an iPhone buyer, do you really compare with Android? Do you actually, like people here?
No.
Personally, I've never ever looked at an Android phone, never been interested. Like I go directly for the iPhone. I know exactly what I want. And I'm the same with anything I do. High ticket buyers, like mentors, everything. Like it hasn't even crossed my mind to compare. Like I just know. So it's like, it's just like, it's like, this is my person. This is my thing. Like comparing is like being unsure of what you want. I think it's like not trusting your intuition or your decision making. Like that's my personal opinion. But like, there are people that will just go to like, no, this is the person. And even if they are comparing, like they're seeing a huge difference in position. And they're feeling like, well, Julia is like, for sure, she's the person to go to. And Anneli.
Yeah, I would like to hear more about creating demand. I know you talked with me about that before. But yeah, to make them sort of educate them that they have a demand. Is that so?
So that's okay. So let me explain. Most people walk around fully being aware of like, this is my life, these are my problems, these are the results that I'm desiring, but they might not have any idea of how they can get there, what they actually need in order to get there. It's kind of like if we compare it to something like someone wanting to lose weight, Like they might have tried different things. They might have tried that diet, that workout program, like different things. Like they know that they want to lose weight and they try different ways. But there might be someone out there who has the answer to what people really need or their ideal client really needs if they want to lose weight. So they need to make the ideal client aware of like, you think you needed all of that. No, this is what you need. Like you don't understand that you need to have it. Like I think something like nervous system regulation is like such a good example because people talk about it, but a lot of people don't know what it is. But like regulating your nervous system can actually be a path to losing weight, or it can be a path to lowering your stress. But people might not know that. Like they might not have a demand for like nervous system regulation. Like nobody wakes up thinking about that. But you could be the person who's like creating demand for nervous system regulation, even though nobody's really demanding that. But you need to connect it to what they are actually experiencing and explaining to them, like this is why you're not losing weight. Or this is why you're dealing with this. So that's an example. And also like, again, when we talk about something like scaling, like people might not know, like they might know I want more money, but like they don't actually know what they need to make more money. They don't know what they need to scale. They don't know that they don't need to hire people or whatever it could be. Like you are telling them this is actually what you need.
Yeah.
It's not about educating. It's more like, and I think Erika is really good at this also as a copywriter, but like it's not educating in the sense like I'm going into teacher mode. It's about entering their subconscious in a way, and it's sales psychology. I can't, like, it's very hard to answer fully your question because it's like so deep. I feel like we could use different examples and like look at specifically your offer, but like, for example, with you, Anneli, you are coaching people, right? Like they might not be aware that your type of coaching is exactly what they need in order to sell offers, like, right? Like they might not know that in order to make my business work, I need you or your coaching. Like they might think I need a website, then I will start to sell. Like they might think that, but you need to tell them and create demand for your offer, your mentorship program, your way to coach people, that this is exactly what they need. Not just specifically your offer, but like your method or your way.
Yeah. Yeah, good. I think that sometimes I get stuck in that I need to over-explain.
Yeah. Over-explain. How do you mean over-explain? Like you have to share more information.
Like what I said, educate them, like really explain why they need that, or maybe even compare, like that's why this is much better than that way
Well,
of doing
if we
it.
use like the weight loss thing as an example, it's like, okay, so the person is walking around like wanting to lose weight. And they're like, okay, I don't know, I'm trying different things. Like, I don't know what's going on. Like, that's all they're thinking about. So how you would catch that client is like, you have been wanting to lose weight for 20 years and you've gone to coaches, you've gone to different workout programs, but nothing is working. The reason why you are still not losing weight despite doing all those things is because your stress levels are constantly high and you are acting like this and doing this and experiencing this. Like you are stressing, you're eating super fast, you're stressing to work, you're doing this, your kids are yelling at you all the time. Your stress levels are so high, so therefore your cortisol is constantly spiking, and that's why you can't lose weight no matter what you do. Like you're using what they already know about themselves and their situation in order to make them understand that it is nervous system regulation that they need. But if you're like going into, let me tell you about nervous system regulation. Well, it's basically, nobody wants to listen to that. I don't care, right? all I care about is myself. Like everybody just cares about themselves. Everyone here, you're thinking more about yourself than other people, even if you have kids. I'm sure you're thinking like more about yourself, right? Like you are, and that's just the way it is. So you need to meet them in their own mind. Like, and I love this marketing saying like, enter the conversation already happening in the client's mind. Like, if they're thinking, I'm losing weight, I don't know why, nothing works, I hate blah, 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 like meet that conversation, enter their mind and speak to them from that situation. Or like your clients, like that's like, they're not 100% entrepreneurs, they still have a side job. Like, what are they thinking about that? Like, what is like their pattern inside their mind that they're thinking about?
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, thank you everyone for joining, and those of you that are watching the recording, thank you for watching the recording, and we will talk soon. And many of you I will see in Italy next week, so I'm very excited. Bye.